Hi guys, my name's Andy Scott, and I was just wondering, do you ever think about why it's so difficult to do things that are just outside of your comfort zone, things that just challenge you a little bit, why you put them off or never do them at all? It's probably down to something called the law of diminishing intent. Now, I quite like the law of diminishing intent because it's simple, and I think it's something that we can all relate to. And what it says in a nutshell is that the longer it takes you to start doing something that is out of your comfort zone, you don't really want to do or is a bit challenging, the longer it takes you to start doing it, the less chance that you will ever do it. Now, it could be a project at work, it could be joining a new gym, it could be going talking to the prospective new love of your life. It doesn't really matter. If it's outside of your comfort zone and you think about it too long, the chances of doing it lower. In fact, they reckon it can take as little as 5 seconds before we start to talk ourselves out of doing something that we'd actually quite like to do or we believe we should be doing that could benefit us. So there's two real problems with this. And the first problem comes down to who's in charge. Now, for the married men out there, I'm not talking about the wives. I'm talking about who's in charge internally, not who's in charge externally. And internally, your subconscious tends to be in charge. Your subconscious brain is running the programs about 95% of the time. We only are in control with our conscious mind about 5% of the day. And when our subconscious is in charge, it just runs programs. It runs programs over and over. It runs scenarios over and over. It's constantly trying to think about the things that it thinks we want to think about because we think about them all the time. It's constantly trying to come up with scenarios that it believes we want to find. The problem with that is it doesn't quite work the way that we would really like it to. And there's a couple of reasons for that as well. And one of them is that the average human being has about 60,000 thoughts a day. And whilst you would love to think that you're this amazing blue sky creative thinker, you're probably not, because 90% of those thoughts we've had before. So this comes down to the programs the subconscious just runs. The scary bit is 80% of those thoughts are negative in nature, which means the average human being has about 48,000 negative thoughts every single day. Now, if you think about the compound effect on that, on top of the pressures of the world, the pressures of paying your bills, providing for your family, doing a good job at work, not getting sacked, whatever it happens to be, it's no wonder that so many people really struggle with their mental health and need support. And a lot of managers and leaders don't always get this right either. I've been in businesses where the senior leaders have a get a grip mentality, just get on with it mentality. But it's not that simple for people to just go and do that. It's not about just being a good leader. It's about being a good human being, taking the time to understand people and their issues, and can you help them work through it. But Stephen Covey says something interesting. Stephen Covey says, we will become what we think about the most every day. Now, obviously, I try to think about being rich, being popular, being sexy. And granted, I'm only nailing sexy at the minute, but I am working on the other two. But if Stephen Covey is correct, and we become what we think about most every day, what do you think 48,000 negative thoughts is going to do for our self-esteem, our self-belief? It's not going to do it any real favours. And when it comes to then trying to channel that into taking ourselves out of our comfort zone, we can understand why the law of diminishing intent kicks in. The second big problem with the law of diminishing intent comes down to pure biology. And that is the human being has got about 50 trillion cells in their body. Each cell has got receptors, and those receptors are constantly trying to figure out what you like, how you feel about the world, how you see the world. And they do that by checking the chemicals in your body. Now, every time you eat, every time you have thought processes, chemicals are released into your body. And your cells try and adapt to what they think you like and the kind of person they think you are. So they know what your chemical balance is. So when you start to think about something that stresses you a little bit or makes you feel uncomfortable, you've got 50 trillion cells that go, hang on a minute, are you sure this is a good idea? Which then very quickly leads into you questioning it, goes back to the law of diminishing intent. So it becomes a vicious little circle. So the question I've got for you before I go is, what do you think would be easier? Is it easier for you to just change your mind about trying something that is out of your comfort zone and makes you feel uneasy? Or is it easier for you to retrain 50 trillion cells to feel differently about the scenario? I think we probably know the answer. But I just thought I'd ask. Thank you for the time, guys. Pleasure as always, and hopefully see you soon.